Hello everybody, Marco here. Today I wanted to do a video on Lindsay Shepherd and the latest developments in her saga, or more generally her story here. Basically just today it came out on the National Post that she has filed a lawsuit with Wilfrid Laurier. And my initial intention was today to do a video about Trump that I had been working and thinking on for a little while. And then right after that, I wanted to talk about Trump's latest comments there on supply management and whatnot. That's also very exciting. But this is also an exciting piece of news, and it's bright news. So I wanted to kind of try and be like, let's see if we make it the very first YouTube story about this. So let's see how it goes. Before we jump into this whole thing, let's just summarize for anybody that doesn't know the Lindsay Shepherd saga. Honestly, I'm just going to go through it very quickly. If you want a more thorough version, you might want to go on YouTube and check out some other videos. Anyway, so this thing all started, I don't know how many months back. So Lindsay Shepherd is a graduate student, I believe, of Wilfrid Laurier. She's a teaching assistant, and basically she's in communications, I guess, some kind of communications program or whatnot. So anyway, in her class, she decides to show a video of Jordan Peterson on some network. Might even be the CBC, like I said, I don't know all the details. And basically she shows a debate between Jordan Peterson and one other individual about Bill 16 and the use of enforced gender pronouns and whatnot. And so she shows the video, class has a discussion and whatnot, and then like a couple of days later, I guess she gets hauled up in some kind of like committee or whatnot, and basically by some heads of department of this, gender studies this, equity that, harassment that, whatever, all these buzzwords and pronouns and whatever not. And basically they accuse her of having I don't even know how you would call it, a toxic environment where people feel unsafe and discriminated against because she dared show Jordan Peterson's video and I guess not give enough warning or unpack it enough, or like present a biased view saying how Jordan Peterson was wrong. And I mean, at least I guess one guy even compared doing something like that, Jordan Peterson, to like showing a video of Hitler or Milo Yiannopoulos. So it's funny, it's hilarious. This is why social justice warriors and the left is really losing the cultural battle, because they're becoming just way too ridiculous for the average person, and they, I guess, don't understand it yet, and we'll explore that a little later on, why they don't understand it. Anyway, the amazing thing was that this Lindsay Shepherd had the hindsight to bring her laptop in and to tell the others, hey, I'm going to take a few notes, but instead she had like an audio recorder. So she recorded the whole thing and blasted it out there, and obviously, I mean, Wilfrid Laurier looked ridiculous in that video. They were, I mean, if they weren't embarrassed, they should have felt embarrassed. It was ridiculous. And so anyway, Lindsay really rose to stardom with that video. She went, I mean, from being unknown to like a whole bunch of conservative right-wing podcasts, lots of news articles. Anyway, she didn't even have a Twitter or YouTube video by then, and like her Twitter, I mean, I follow her on Twitter. I think she's got like 37,000 followers, and she posted she posted two now, I think, and her first one like got a whole bunch of views. I'm not sure how many it got, but it got like a whole bunch of views. So like she's become, I'm not sure if we would say outright famous, but she's definitely got a lot more fame than before this whole event occurred. So that is the story. Just about before this article, summarizing it really quick, what happened. So my whole take on it was that when I saw this happening and saw what was happening with Lindsay Shepherd, my thing was that, when someone like that comes up, you're always kind of hoping that maybe, this is a new figure or someone that can use their fame to kind of push your ideas more out there. And so like, and you can tell that like, you know, she's kind of realizing that she's not a leftist all the way, and she's more freedom oriented maybe. And so you're kind of hoping that, you know, she finds her way more to your side, and, you know, helps push your message forward. And with all that happening, like, I was very worried, because the first one that kind of like started sinking their teeth into them was Faith Goldie, which, you know, I don't you know, I don't have anything too much against her. You know, I don't feel bad as to what happened to her getting canned from the Rebel. I mean, I think I think you need to have a lot more foresight to know what you're doing. You know, it could have easily been avoidable what happened to her, and I don't have a problem with most of her views. Like, I disagree with a lot of them, but I like not too much. But like what she says on immigrants, I do a lot of times find offensive, but I will watch it just because I know that a lot of people in Canada do support that view, and they don't get a lot of voice. So, you know, I just do it to force myself to kind of figure out what the other side is thinking. Anyway, so that's my view of Faith Goldie. Anyway, that's the first person that tried to sink their teeth into them, and, you know, I think Lindsay managed not to be dragged into all of her way of thinking. But anyway, other people have tried after that. So my whole thing was that, you know, standing back, I'm really hoping that, you know, she's careful, and it really takes a couple of years to figure out who she is, what she believes in, and find her own voice, and not necessarily try to be hijacked by other people. So that was my whole hope with Lindsay Shepherd. And then this morning, just cruising the news, just trying to figure out what's going on, I saw this headline from the National Post that I'm going to read here. So it's Lindsay Shepherd sues Wilfrid Laurier, claiming attacks have rendered her unemployable in academia. And so my my first thought was, okay, somebody has finally got to her, and she's going to try and use this incident that happened with Wilfrid Laurier as sort of a cash grab and try and get rich off it. So that was my first instinct doing that. And of course, I couldn't read the whole article because I'm not subscribed to the National Post, so I finally had to break and buy a subscription. By the way, only 99 cents for first month, and I'd encourage anybody that's interested in kind of Canadian politics to do read the National Post. I do think it is the best newspaper overall. So anyway, so I did it. So I read the whole article, and after I read the whole article, my whole viewpoint changed, and hence why I'm making this video. So let's explore it a little further. So basically, I'm just going to summarize it quickly. What she's saying is that even after this whole incident with the Jordan video Peterson happened, Wilfrid Laurier issued a bunch of apologies to her, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, everything's good. But she's saying that she's still being bullied, she's still being intimidated. What they have done has caused a toxic environment to her, blah, 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 blah. You owe me $3.6 million. And obviously that figure is ridiculous, right? I mean, yeah, you might be entitled. I mean, I'm not sure actually, but let's assume that you are entitled to that because of the law. You know, I mean, realistically, outside of the law, that's a ridiculous figure. Yeah, the law might say, yeah, you suffered $3.6 million damages, but when you think about it, the law is written by politicians, which, you know, they have proven to be immoral, the biggest cheats and liars that society has to offer. So if these are the people that are writing the law, then, you know, you seriously have to question the law. So anyway, in my whole thing when I first looked at this was like, hey, you know, like, your whole argument is that, like, these people that dragged you up in front of this tribunal or inquisition, you're basically saying that, you know, they're a bunch of snowflakes and that they can't take a little debate and, you know, whatnot. And here you are, you suffered harassment, but a little harassment, and now you're being a snowflake and trying to sue them for $3.6 million. You know, you're being a hypocrite. That's what it looks like. It looks like you're being a total hypocrite, right? So anyway, yeah. So what was my point? Well, my point was that, yeah, this lawsuit does not look good from you at the outset. But then let's examine it a little further. My opinion started changing when I got to this section of the article. So let's examine quote 1 together then. And you can pause it and read it here. But basically, it starts off saying that apparently there was another person at the university that did eventually file a complaint against her, this Ethan Jackson, and that when he filed his complaint, Wilfrid Laurier told Lindsay that, hey, you know, we don't want you talking to anybody about this, you know, and you can see it here, and threatened repercussions if she publicly disclosed the existence of Jackson's complaint. Like, if they actually did threaten her, that's quite unbelievable, considering the shellacking she dispensed to Wilfrid Laurier in the last few months. You actually have the balls to threaten her after all the damage she's done to you. That's pretty extraordinary. So then right there, I was like, I started changing my opinion. I was like, okay, you threatened me, then, you know, I'm gonna fire a few more salvos in your direction and see how you like it. You know, so anyway, my first thing was like, before I even found out anything about this Ethan Jackson, there's two types of person this could be. This is either the type of person that, you know, has a political agenda that they want to push, that's pretty radical, and they will exploit any legal loophole to try and silence your voice, right? Or number two, they are a complete snowflake, a complete pussy, because I don't know anything about the type of complaint they file, but I imagine it goes something like this. This Ethan Jackson was not one of the 8 students that was that watched this Jordan Peterson video that Lindsay Shepherd presented in class. So his complaint must go something like this. Okay, by Lindsay Shepherd showing this video in the class of 8 students, it created some kind of debate at the campus about gender pronouns and created an anti-trans environment and homophobic against the lesbian and gay community and whatnot. And I am part of, or I associate with that community, and now I feel uncomfortable on campus. And so I'm filing this complaint. And in order for me to feel satisfied, Lindsay Shepherd either has to apologize to all of us, has to cut her Twitter, has to do something X, Y, Z, whatever it is, right? So before I even found out anything about this Ethan Jackson guy, he's either one of these two people in my opinion, right? So sure enough, I type Ethan Jackson Wilfrid Laurier into my Google search, and this is the first image that comes up, and I kid you not. Yes, Mr. Ethan Jackson is an actual pussy. Like, he actually has a costume of a pussy right there on the front of the Google images. I mean, does it get any better than that? I mean, you know, I'm just starting on YouTube. I kind of want to be more of like a more intellectual, more critical voice on YouTube, but like, you know, the rise of all these right-wing, the rise of all these right-wing commentators on YouTube that go against social justice warriors. I mean, you guys are making it way too easy for them. I mean, look at this guy. He actually has a costume of a pussy. He is an actual real-life pussy. Like, it's crazy, man. So for anybody that doesn't know, I mean, especially in the US, I mean, I'm just going to give you a quick rundown here. This event was, I think, 5-6 years ago. And basically this politician that's up here on the top left with Mr. Pussy over there is Stephen Bobworts. I forget his complete name, but anyway, in Canada, conservatives, the pro-life side, has been effectively silenced, right? That's how Stephen Harper held on to a majority for so long, is that he kept the conservatives in the back benches, didn't give them any type of voice. And this was the only guy that was kind of pro-life, and he even put a motion in the House of Commons there that got quite a little bit of debate going. And anyway, obviously he had an event of Wilfrid Laurier where he was talking about it, and these guys, obviously, look at here, they busted it and tried to silence him and whatnot. So they disrupted his event. So this was the first instance where I actually started noticing, hey, you know, like, it's getting a little heated in university. But when I looked at it, I was like, look at these guys. I mean, like, this guy's actually dressed like a pussy. Like, it's not even worth my time to look into you guys or to write about you or do anything. It's not worth my time. Okay, now these guys have actually got a little traction going, so it is worth my time to make a video on it. So anyway, my advice my advice for Mr. Ethan Jackson is, I think this event was 5 years ago, and if I remember correctly, reading the article, you were 21, so you've already been in school for like 2-3 years. 5 years has passed, so as of right now, you've been like in school for 7 or 8 years. And my question is there any point where you're thinking of graduating, of saving the taxpayer some money? Because I mean, I googled you on the Wilfrid Laurier site. Your studies consist of transgender, post-humanism, a whole bunch of other mumbo-jumbo terms that no ordinary people can really be bothered to understand. Is there any point where the taxpayers can save some money? Any point where you can graduate? That's point number one. Point number two, save yourself some trouble. This is man to man here, man to man. Like, you want to, whatever you got against Lindsay Shepherd in this lawsuit, you want to drop it, you want to try and make this go away. Because if I found this picture of you with my first Google search, imagine what hackers are going to do if they find stuff on you. Imagine the people that have been following you for 7 or 8 years are going to find on you. I mean, you have the potential here to become another Kathy Newman meme that is circulated all over the internet. So I would advise, I mean, your position is quite ridiculous, as was Wilfrid Laurier's at the start. It's a ridiculous position. And I mean, there's this picture of you on the internet dressed as a pussy. You have the potential to become a complete viral meme, star, the butt of every joke. So quit right now, do it now. You cannot do it quick enough. So that's my advice to you if you're watching, quit. Okay, so that was talking about that. So let's just try and quickly go over this. Let's explore quote number 2. And you might want to pause it and read all of it. But basically it says here that Lindsay didn't really want to file this suit, which I think is good, because I think if you do... didn't really want to do it, but she had to do it because she felt she was being attacked by Wilfrid Laurier, trying to silence her again, trying to stifle her. And so if we read here at the very end here, I don't care if I win or not. It's just to make a point that after months of this, you, the school, still don't get it, she said. So what can I do other than this? People have been urging me to do this from the beginning, and perhaps they were right. So, so I think this is very hopeful. I have definitely a better opinion of where Lindsay is going after reading that. Honestly, my solution to all of this would have been, the way I would have handled it was to just this complaint that this Ethan Jackson filed, there must be some type of paper, there must be some type of correspondence. First thing you do is you put that on the internet, you put a video of yourself explaining how you're still being harassed, and that would already draw, since you are fairly famous, all of the media, all of the YouTubers, and that would put more bad publicity on Wilfrid Laurier. I would have done it that way because, I'll be honest, like 3.6 million, that makes you look like a hypocrite, so I would try and clean up that message a little bit. And my solution to Wilfrid Laurier, back off, like, from the incidents that have been happening, it seems like anytime a school does get exposed like this, their enrollment goes down. So this Lindsay Shepherd thing has already cost you money. And this article here and the shitstorm that's going to follow is going to cost you even more money. But you're showing the same fallacy and the same erroneous thinking as Democrats in the US against Trump and whatnot. You just don't learn your lesson. That is your biggest fault. You don't learn your lesson. She is going to smack you again with this. Is my thinking behind it. And number 2, what can we as the public learn from all of this? We can learn that funding universities with public money is a bad idea. You know, Jordan Peterson's idea is to basically defund universities that promote this type of thinking that restrict free speech. My idea is to go even further. You just not fund public universities, and I don't want to get into it right now because then I'd be here for another hour. But I would just encourage people to consider it, and there's plenty of writing on it, how education would still go further without public money, and maybe I'll do a YouTube video on it myself. But universities do not need public money. There used to be a time where the government wasn't involved in universities, and we can go back to that again, and it's not regression, it's freedom, right? So anyway, that's all I have to say about that. Below I'm gonna leave my blog, my Twitter. Feel free to comment with me with any thoughts. I try and reply back to every comment that I see there. And yeah, I look forward to talking with this more with you guys. So this is it for now. I'll catch you guys maybe tomorrow or definitely a few more videos in the future. Bye.